Psychological testing is the most important contribution academic psychology has made to public life. Psychological testing is an essential part of the talent management process. It provides data-based answers to the questions of who to hire, who to promote, and who to assign to what roles. Every personnel intervention should begin with a competent assessment. Governments have been using assessments for talent management for 3,000 years. As in so many things, the Chinese started it. As in so many other things, the Germans perfected it after World War I. The result is that the statistical methods for creating and using psychological assessment are very well understood. We now know there's one right way and many wrong ways to do assessment, and doing assessment right is more complicated and expensive than doing it wrong, which is why so many people can do it wrong. The most important single consideration in assessment concerns test validity. Validity itself concerns the degree to which scores on an assessment predict performance on the job. Valid assessments predict performance. Assessments without validity cannot predict performance. And establishing validity is pretty straightforward. Ask some employees to complete the assessment. Gather some performance data for those employees. Compare their assessment results with their performance using a statistical index called the correlation coefficient. The bigger the correlation coefficient, the better the assessment. Reputable assessment vendors provide information regarding the assessments, regarding the validity of their assessments in their technical documentation. And this is where the bad news comes in. Bad news falls into three categories. First, psychological test publishing industry in America is unregulated, in the world is unregulated. As a result, many commercial test publishers ignore validity and they sell the psychometric equivalent of snake oil. Second, many consumers of psychological tests are unable or uninterested in evaluating the validity of the assessments they buy. Typically, they assume the validity is built in, which it's not, and that they assume that no responsible provider would sell unvalidated assessments, and in the worst case, consumers just don't care about validity. And third, when organizations use unvalidated assessments for talent management, they make personnel decisions in a random fashion. For example, they hire unqualified people about half the time, and they deny employment to qualified people about half the time. That's what the lack of validity means. You're doing random assignments. Buying an assessment with no established validity is like buying a car with no engine or a house with no kitchen. The house or the car may look really good, but it won't function the way it should.